So this one is about Planned Colombia, which is usually talked about in the American mass media as the drug war. And we're going to walk step by step through this. It's an interactive discussion. It's not going to be me standing up here and just jabbering on and on for the next 40 minutes. Because I think all of us in the audience here hold the little pieces of the story. And we can all help educate each other. Even though I'm up here presenting this, I don't know a lot of the facts and figures that a lot of other people in the audience here do. So I encourage you to shout out. I'm going to guide us through the discussion, but I encourage you to just shout out what you know, what you want to share, and we're gonna start out. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to start out this thing. As you can see, it's pretty enormous, and the reason is because Planned Colombia is nothing so simple as a war on drugs. There's a lot more going on there, and it really takes this much space to tell it in pictures. So this piece reads like a scroll would, from left to right, top to bottom, and it's divided up into separate sections. It's also divided up into separate layers. The top layer being Planned Colombia, as it is envisioned by U.S. governmental and military leaders. The second layer is underneath that. It's the natural world. It's the traditional form of life. It's the sustainable living. And here along the edges, and also cutting away from Planned Colombia and exposing the natural world, are these leafcutter ants. The reason that leafcutter ants are there is because folks in South America, activist folks, have told people in the Beehive that the revolutionary work, grassroots work, community organizing work is the work of the ants. And they often specifically cited the leafcutter ants because they live in holes in the ground and they climb all the way to the tops of trees. And they cut little snippets of leaves and carry them all the way down again, compost them, and farm a fungus that they survive off of. And even though the little pieces of leaves that they cut are about this big, through numbers and diligence and hard work, they're able to transform entire landscapes. So just bear that in mind as we walk through it. That's kind of the narrative framework of this poster. But we're going to step through it one step at a time, and I'm going to try to go fast because we don't have a lot of time tonight, but hopefully we'll be able to cover everything. So we're going to start out right up here. Can everybody see this guy? Oh. Yeah? Who is this? You recognize this character? What's he doing?
Blowing a conch shell!
He's blowing a conch shell. Does anyone know the significance of the conch shell? Come closer if you can't see it, please. This is going to be totally useless if you can't see what I'm pointing.
When Key West declared independence and the conch was their flag?
Not exactly. This is in Colombia.
Gathering call?
What's that?
Call to gather?
That's right. It's a call to gather and to discuss and to start to take a look at things like Planned Colombia and maybe think about them in terms of what's really going on, and not just take the media reports at face value. So we're going to start out here. Does anyone recognize these guys? That's right. And where are they disembarking from? Europe. That's right. Now you can see that Europe is represented as a wasp hive. Any ideas why it might be a wasp hive? Come on.
White Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Right, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. That was consistent. But you can see the monarch of Spain here is sending out all of these wasps. They're disembarking from Europe, and each of them has a special purpose and a special role. Does anyone recognize this guy here? He's a missionary, and you can see that he's carrying the two crosses of Western medicine and Western religion. And Can you see these two next to him? Who are they?
That's a Pope.
Yep, the Pope and a military man. Yeah, and these two are put together because, as we'll talk about a little briefly later, oftentimes in colonization, military and religion work hand in hand. Religion to soften people up, and the military to do the dirty work with religion. Who are these guys up at the top? No. Pilgrims, yeah, and Puritan pilgrims, and you see what they're carrying here? Suitcase of baggage, right? The baggage of an oppressive moral system that subjected them to sort of slave mentality and a sort of very harsh and intolerant treatment of the folks, the indigenous folks. Who's this guy? He's a conquistador. Does anyone recognize what he's carrying? Sword. And a blanket infested with smallpox. This was the spread of smallpox was a very deliberate tactic in the colonization of Latin America. Does anyone recognize this guy over here? He's a slave trader. That's right. The economy of the colonies was largely based on slavery, and the history of slavery is the effects of it are still.
First Indian slaves, and then after they died out, Indian slaves.
Right. Exactly right. Who's this guy here? He's a judge, and you can see he's carrying the Western concept of justice and the Western concept of time, which both had were both profoundly different than those of the indigenous peoples in the colonized areas. So you can see that these wasps are spreading out and they're building a new hive. They're swarming out and building this new hive here. Does anyone recognize? Does the new hive look familiar?
America.
That's right, it's the United States, right? And what are all these critters in these cells here? Grubs, larvae, yeah. What? They are fat ones. Some fatter than others. Why do you think?